Okay, hi guys, welcome back to your professional diploma in fitness and weight loss. We are into lesson 6 of module 1, which is all about controlling your body shape long term. So following on from lesson 5. Before we get started, I just want to do a quick sound check. So if you can type yes or hello if you can hear me, just so we know that the sound is working. And if not, hopefully you're reading the screen and you're typing in no so the support staff can help you with any issues. So before we get stuck into the lesson, let's have a quick recap on what we covered in lesson 5, because very much what we covered today correlates with lesson 5 as well. So we looked at body fat storage in lesson 5, understanding fat loss on body shape. We looked at factors that affect fat loss, especially with our hormones and leptin levels, and then we looked at the truth about getting results long term, and how really, guys, there is no magic pill, there is no quick fix. It's like anything to get the body you want. It takes dedication, hard work, consistency, and patience. Patience is a big one, because if you don't have patience to get the result, you're never going to get the result. Okay, so what are we going to cover in lesson 6? Well, the first thing we're going to cover is basic human anatomy. So we're going to look at the basics with our skeletal structure, muscular structure, fat, different types of fat, and all that kind of stuff. Then we're going to look at the links between different body fats and different lifestyles, because there is very much a correlation with lifestyle and body fat. You know, people who tend to be more athletic have a very healthy athletic lifestyle. People who tend to be overweight or obese have a very unhealthy sedentary lifestyle. And we know this, so we're going to look at the links and what you need to do from changing one lifestyle to another lifestyle to maybe get the results you want. And then lastly, guys, we're going to look at practical meal planning today. So we're really going to take the complication out of meal planning. Nutrition and meal planning has gotten so complicated over the past few years, the way the media does it, the way the fitness industry does it, the way most personal trainers and fitness instructors explain it, and they're not even qualified to do it. So we're actually just going to look at practically how do we actually plan our meals with food, like looking at food. And let's not break down calories and macronutrients. Let's just look at the food and understand how to actually make our plate look healthy. All right, so what are the risks of not maintaining our shape long term? Okay, if we don't know how to control our body shape, if we don't know how to control our muscle to fat ratio, then long term what's going to happen is we're going to lose our shape, we're going to get overweight, and we're going to get more at risk of non-communicable disease. So the big one is we're going to lose our shape as we get older. And we see this, people who are in great shape in their 20s because they're young start to lose it in their 30s and 40s, because the only reason they were maintaining it when they were 20 is they were active, they were young, and they were eating a bit healthier, and their metabolism was higher. Whereas they get older, they switch lifestyles, and it just got worse and worse. So your metabolism also will slow considerably. Now it slows as we get older, and it also slows the more unhealthy, the more sedentary we become. You will gain lots more body fat. When we're gaining body fat, we also tend to lose muscle. Okay, because when we're losing muscle, our metabolism slows and puts us more prone to gaining body fat. So it's really one or the other. And then we have an increased risk of reduced mobility and disease as we get older. And for me, that's the big one, guys, because I want to stay active and healthy in my 60s, 70s, 80s. You know, I've seen people being in the fitness industry for 89 years now. I've seen very healthy, fit 60, 70, 80-year-olds who still run their own businesses and live life to the fullest every day. And I've also seen people, you know, at 45, 50, suffering heart attacks, morbid obese, and all sorts of lifestyle diseases. So it is our choice long term, and we just have to make the right ones. So let's look at our basic human anatomy and really what makes us up. Okay, so our body shape is determined by our muscle to fat ratio. We know that, and we talked about that in the last lesson. Okay, but what else actually determines our shape? Well, there's a few things. So let's go through it from really our basic structure to what gives us our shape overall. So the first thing is your skeletal system. Okay, guys? So what do we use it for? Protection. It actually protects your vital organs. So your rib cage here, the big one, your rib cage, and then around your hips, hip joint, around to protect the sexual organs. So all of actually the big parts of our skeleton is providing protection for our vital organs. Okay? It also provides a frame for soft tissue. So if we didn't have our bones, we didn't have our skeletal system, then we'd all look like Jabba the Hutt. We'd just be a blob of muscle and fat on the ground with no actual structure. It allows movement. Now, skeleton doesn't power movement, but it allows movement because it's jointed. So our knee joints, our hip joints, our elbows, our shoulders, our vertebra, it all allows us to move because your structure can actually bend in that way. It's also very, very important for blood production. So a lot of people don't realize this, but your red, white blood cells are formed in your marrow cavities. So this is very, very important for blood production and for storage, guys. So your bones actually store minerals like calcium, potassium, and sodium. So it's not just to provide support, it's not just for protection, but it's also to provide and allow movement, blood production, and storage. Okay, so it's very, very important that we keep our skeletal system, our bones, healthy, because they do so many things. Now, what's the next thing? What sits on top of our bones, our skeletal system? And think about this, because so many people get this wrong. So many people, have the myth that muscle and fat are the same thing. So I really want to separate these out in this section. The second thing that sits on top of your skeleton is your muscular system. Now we looked at this when we remove all the fat in the last lesson, and we see our perfect body shape if we maintain muscle mass. So the male and the female form. So male and the female form, sorry. So what does the muscular system do? Well, it creates a lean, toned body shape once we don't have lots of body fat sitting on top of it. Okay, so it creates that lean, toned, athletic body shape if we keep our muscles and joints strong and healthy. Okay, it provides and produces the movement of the skeleton. It powers the movement of the skeleton. So the skeleton allows movement by being jointed, but what powers that movement is, of course, our muscles. And the easiest way to see this is when you see someone in a third world country who's starving, or maybe someone with an eating disorder. You see they have problem moving. You see they're very unstable because they have very low muscle mass. So that's what your muscle mass does. It powers the movement of the skeleton and also provides stability of movement. Okay, so the less muscle you have, the more unstable you're going to be, because the muscle is providing the stability of your skeleton. Okay, and then of course our muscle is solely responsible for our strength. Okay, without muscle we have no strength. Again, your muscle is powering the movement of your skeleton. It is powering all of your strength. So without our muscle, we have no strength. And think about this, not just strength for doing things, also strength to be able to stand up properly. So our posture, all right? So that's what we have to think about. We have our skeleton, then we have our muscular system, and our muscular system is so important. Look at those four things: shape, motion, stabilization, and strength. And what amazes me is people are afraid to build muscle thinking they're going to turn into Arnold Schwarzenegger. This is just simply not going to happen, guys. You will not be able to build that much muscle. No matter how hard you work, you are just not going to build that much muscle. That is anabolic steroids. That is unnatural amounts. Okay? For the 99% of the population. Okay, you're only going to be able to build a very small amount of lean muscle and then maintain that if you continually work that. So do not be afraid of building muscle. You're not going to get too bulky. It's just simply not possible. All right? Now, what's the next thing? We have our skeleton. We have our muscular system. What do you think's next, guys? Get a conversation going in the group chat, in the community there, and in your peer chat. Get a conversation going. Have a chat to each other, and make sure you understand this. All right. So what's the next thing? The next thing is, of course, fat. Now, fat, and more specifically subcutaneous fat, is the fat that sits on top of muscle. So we have a skeleton, then we have our muscle, and then fat sits on top of the muscle. So fat and muscle are two completely separate things. Now guys, people get this confused a lot, and they think for some reason, your muscle's going to turn into fat if you stop training, or if you build too much and then you stop training. The reason why that myth comes about is as you lose muscle, you will naturally start to gain fat, especially if you're eating the same amount of calories, because now your metabolism is slowing down, because now there is no need for that amount of calories, because you're no longer maintaining all of that muscle. So it's not that muscle turns into fat, it's that you lose muscle and gain fat because you've stopped training and stopped needing so many calories. Now, you cannot, and let me repeat this a million times, you cannot spot reduce fat from one area. So when someone says to me they want to lose 2 or 3 pounds on their stomach or on their legs or on their bum or on their thighs, it is not possible to do that alone and not lose fat elsewhere. The way your body works, it will gain fat everywhere and it will lose fat everywhere. Now yes, You were genetically disposed to put fat on in more places, whether you be pear-shaped or apple-shaped. So men tend to be apple-shaped, so we put most of our weight in our abdomen, our stomach. And women tend to be pear-shaped, so they will put most of their weight on their hips, bums, thighs, and stomach. Okay? Now, you cannot spot reduce fat. We can only lose fat overall. So if we're losing fat off everywhere. And we talked about this in the last lesson. Your belly, your arms, your legs, your bum, everywhere. It will come more off where there more is of, but you can't spot reduce fat. If any personal trainer, any fitness instructor, anyone in the health and fitness industry or weight loss industry tells you can spot reduce fat, then they're lying, unless they're talking about liposuction, of which is a ridiculous thing. What is fat? Well, it's stored energy that has not been used. So to burn fat, to get rid of fat, we have to tap back into that energy by now not eating all the calories in the world. So we have to create a calorie deficit. We talked about in the last lesson. It is very, very common with sedentary lifestyle. We're seeing it. We've become more sedentary. Jobs are more sedentary. People don't exercise as much. The entire population are now either overweight or obese. Around 70% of most of the world's population are now either overweight or obese. All right? Between 67 and 70%. That's a huge figure. That is a huge figure, guys. So now the minority actually are within a healthy weight range, a healthy body fat range. Now, gaining fat is caused from, as I said, too many calories, and it creates that out of shape, overweight look. So when people say, I want to get back in shape, they mean they want to lose their fat. You don't want to lose muscle, you want to lose your fat. All right, you lose your fat, shows off your muscle. The last thing you want to do is lose muscle and fat, because then you're just going to be skin and bone. Nothing left on you. All right, nothing left on you. Now, and lastly, guys, sorry, this is the fat everyone thinks about when we think about losing weight. When someone says they want to lose weight, what they actually mean is they want to lose fat. Every time we talk about weight loss, every single time we talk about weight loss, we're actually talking about fat loss. No one ever wants to lose muscle. No one ever wants to lose large amounts of fluid unless you're retaining a lot. What we're talking about when we're talking about losing weight is losing subcutaneous fat and visceral fat. That is what we're talking about. So we're not talking about weight loss, we're talking about fat loss. All right? Now, what's the next type of fat? So we have our subcutaneous fat and then we have our visceral fat. Now, visceral fat is extremely dangerous. Okay? It's fat which collects around and within the abdominal wall. So what you have with subcutaneous fat is you have your muscle. So let's say this is your abdominal wall. Okay? And this is your subcutaneous fat here. In here is your visceral fat. This is where visceral fat collects, so around your vital organs within your abdominal wall. Okay? Now, this is considered to be the most dangerous of all body fat, because if you gain this in large amounts and it collects in large amounts around your vital organs, then you're going to be more at risk of cardiovascular disease, stroke, heart attack, pretty much all non-communicable diseases. And it creates this big, distended, bloated looking stomach. You'll see it in some people. It looks like they pump their air full of stomach. That's visceral fat. Okay? It's huge, bloated, distended stomach. Alright? This is so dangerous, guys. And the link to cardiovascular disease, hypertension, sedentary lifestyles is pretty much 100% on this. Okay? So now it can be reversed, but it has to be through a positive change of your diet and your lifestyle. You're not going to lose visceral fat by going on a short-term diet. All right? You have to completely change the way you eat. Stop eating processed food. Stop drinking alcohol. Stop taking in added sugar. Stop taking in too much salt. Eat lots of fruit and vegetables, lean meats, nut seeds, things like that, and get into a calorie deficit. And if you do that, then you're on the right track. But guys, to put this in perspective, we've 65 to 70% of the population worldwide. All right? And they're either overweight or obese, suffering from too much subcutaneous fat and too much visceral fat, at higher risk of cardiovascular disease, stroke, and heart attack these days. So we really have to be very aware that this is no joke. You know, if you're sitting there and you're here for personal reasons, and you've been overweight for a while, and your stomach feels, bloated and distended, and maybe you don't feel good. These are big risk factors, guys. These are big risk factors that your body is going to that junker of a car we talked about. And guys, I can go back to the car analogy again. What type of body do you want? What type of car do we want? Well, if you don't take care of it, we're going to end up with that junker of a car, that junker of a body. Now we've got to start taking care of it again. Now we've got to get back up to running order. Back into a sustainable, healthy, feeling good weight, energy levels, body shape, confidence. That's what we're looking for. Okay, guys? And again, for the professionals that want to be professionals, this is what you should be teaching people. Don't be telling them they're losing 6 pounds in 3 weeks. Tell them the dangers of subcutaneous fat and visceral fat and why they need to lose them. These are big warning signs that your body is getting towards that junker of a body. All right? Now, the other thing I want to talk about is the links. Okay? So the links of body fat and lifestyle. So different body fat ratios directly correlate with different lifestyles. Okay? So what you have to figure out is what's your current lifestyle, what's your maintainable lifestyle, and how do you get there? Well, let's talk about obese and obesity and the growing epidemic worldwide, where I think it's in the States 34% are now class 1, 2, or 3 obese, and 67% are now either overweight or obese. Now, what's the lifestyle of someone who's obese? And I'm taking out all genetic factors here. I'm taking out the 3 or 4% where it's a genetic issue, it's a genetic problem. But 95, 96% of the time, this is completely linked to lifestyle. So what's the lifestyle? Excess processed food and alcohol. You are simply eating too much processed food, drinking too much alcohol, and it's just in excess of your calories. So it's excessive calories, no regular meals, large binges, that kind of stuff. Sedentary lifestyle, little or no exercise or activity even. People consider walking exercise. Walking is not exercise, guys. Walking is activity. Exercise, you have to get your heart and your lungs and your muscles above normal working levels. Walking you do on a daily basis, that is not exercise, that is activity. So we need to do both activity and exercise. And the obese person is carrying large excessive amounts of subcutaneous fat and visceral fat. Okay, we know this. And what are the health risks? Cardiovascular disease, diabetes, stroke, hypertension, to name a few. All right, we can get into depression, we can get into self-harm and confidence issues and eating disorders as well, because they all lead on to that depending how bad this gets. But the big health risks are cardiovascular disease, diabetes, stroke, hypertension. All right. Changes to start losing fat. This is very, very simple. If you're in this category, if you're training someone in this category and they're telling you they're not overeating and they're telling you they're not binging and they're telling you they're not drinking and they just struggle with it, they're lying to you. Trust me, they're lying to you, except about 3% of the time. Right? 97% of the time, they're just either not seeing it themselves or just not telling you the truth. That's where picture food diaries come in. All right? So reduce processed food. Reduce processed food. Eat 3 regular meals per day. That's it. Very, very easy. Start eating 3 regular meals per day and start being more active on a daily basis. You don't even have to start going to the gym or starting to exercise. You simply have to start getting a minimum of 10 or 12,000 steps per day. If you do those 3 things, you will start feeling better, losing fat, losing weight, because with obese, you're definitely going to be holding a lot more water, because water is half of fat, half of muscle pretty much. So we're going to start to definitely lose some water weight along with our body fat. All right. So at these levels, fat and water, that's what we're losing. All right. So if we get down the processed food, we get down the sugar and the salt, we get 3 regular meals per day and we start moving, we're going to very successfully do that. So then and at this stage you should be seeing 4, 5, 6 pounds a week at first, if you do it right. All right. What about overweight? Okay, so we're not obese, but we're overweight. So obese is very, very high risk, a lot of that stuff. Overweight, we're still high risk, but not as much. Okay, so overweight, what's the lifestyle? Well, we're still eating too much. All right. Now, it may be too much processed food or alcohol, or it just may be too many calories with no regular meals with portion sizes. Okay. Again, the sedentary lifestyle is definitely here. With overweight, we are eating more calories than we're burning. We're most likely sedentary. Now, some people in the overweight category will be maybe a little more active, especially than their obese counterparts, but they're still overeating way too much. All right? So we're definitely carrying fat above what's considered healthy levels. Now, obviously, if it's only a small amount above healthy levels, you'll be at lower risk of health problems. But the more and closer you get to obese, the higher your risk problems are with health. Okay? Now, we have the same risk problems: cardiovascular disease, diabetes, stroke, hypertension. The only difference here is obviously the closer to healthy we are, the lower risk. The closer to obese we are, the higher risk. So it really depends on what direction you're going. All right. If you're going from healthy to overweight and you're heading in that direction, you have to be aware of it. But obviously, if you're coming down the other direction, it's a very good thing. All right. Changes to lose more fat. All right. Reduce processed foods even more. Reduce processed foods even more. Be aware of portion control and regular meals. All right. The big one here for me is a lot of people are overweight. They're not necessarily eating too much processed food or alcohol, but their portion sizes are too big, especially on maybe their starch carbohydrates. So their rice, their pasta, their breads, they may be just having too much of this stuff, or maybe a little too much fat. And it could be healthy fats, but it could be olive oils, avocado, things like that. And they're just having too much of it, causing a calorie surplus and then causing that overweight issue, too much body fat. Now, if it's very healthy food and they're active, they're lower risk of the health risks, but it's still going to have a physical effect with the body fat. So we can have two people who are overweight with two drastically different nutrition makeups, whether it be healthy food and unhealthy food, but they will look the same because it's still a calorie surplus. We're still eating too many calories. So maybe lower health risk, but we still look the exact same. Okay? So we also want to be starting regular exercise 2 to 4 times per week and increase the daily activity if we're trying to get into the healthy ranges. Because in our healthy ranges, in our athletic ranges, we're exercising regularly, 3, 4, 5 times per week. That's how often we're exercising if we're healthy and we're athletic. Yeah? Now let's look at our healthy ranges, guys. Okay? Now healthy ranges isn't stupid, skinny beauty magazine. Healthy ranges are within healthy body fat ranges. So we're at low risk of all of the non-communicable diseases. That's what healthy ranges are. My issue with the fitness industry, my issue with the beauty industry, and a lot of them these days on social media, is they're putting forward an image that's too excessive. They're putting forward the image of the personal trainer and the fitness model, whereas what we're actually looking to do is to get most people into the healthy range and live a normal lifestyle. Most people don't want to live fitness 24/7. Most people just want fitness to be a very healthy part of their life. All right? And nutrition to be a very part of their life. You don't have to go to the extremes some of these fitness influencers and some of these beauty magazines and fitness magazines are telling you to go to. You just simply need to have common sense on how much exercise you're doing and what you're eating. So if we look at the lifestyle here, guys, what's the lifestyle? Little processed food and alcohol. So they might be eating it 2 or 3 times per week, and they might be having a few drinks each week, but it's not in excess amounts. Okay? It's not causing a calorie surplus. Okay? It's a calorie maintenance, and we're going to look at that a little later. And if it's within your calorie maintenance, and it's a very small percentage of your diet, you're going to be low health risk, and you're not going to be carrying body fat over healthy ranges. Most likely they have a balanced diet with some planning of meals and snacks. Guys, I went out yesterday to do my food shop with my wife, and I knew what I was getting for my breakfast and my lunches and my dinners. So I knew I was getting my eggs and my slimline bagels and my little bit of guacamole for my breakfasts. I knew I was getting some chicken fillets, some veggies, some sweet potato for my lunches, and then we were getting the makings for a healthy kind of chicken pie, chicken casserole type thing, for a turkey mince chili con carne. So I knew before I went to the shop what I was buying. And I know what I'm eating all week. Now, do I measure everything out to a T? No, I don't. Okay? I'm not your type of personal trainer who's competing in bodybuilding shows and take it to that extreme. I was obese. I am now very much within healthy ranges. And here's the thing, guys. I find it so easy to maintain in my healthy ranges. Train 3 or 4 times per week, 40 minutes, 3 or 4 times per week, a little bit of strength, a little bit of cardio, stay active, eat healthy, 5-6 days a week, and I get away with my pizza or my couple of drinks on the weekend. It's very, very simple to maintain a healthy lifestyle once you know how to do it. And everyone makes it so complicated. You don't have to track every calorie. You don't have to track all the portion sizes. If you have a bit of common sense about it, it's fairly easy to do. We want to be exercising 3 to 4 times a week in our healthy lifestyle. We're carrying fat within healthy ranges. Now, guys, again, within healthy ranges. Don't let the beauty industry or the fitness industry put pressure on how lean you should be, how ripped you should be. Look, if you simply just want to look good, like myself, for me, it's looking good in my shirts, looking good in my jumpers, keeping the same trouser size for the next 20, 30, 40 years is my plan. I don't really care about whether I have a six-pack or not, all right? In the summer, I tend to be leaner. In the winter, I tend to have more body fat. I always stay within healthy ranges, though. All right? So that's what a healthy range is. All right? The health benefits: improve mood, improve sleep, improve energy, improve motivation, improve confidence, low risk of non-communicable disease. All right? Endless benefits. You're going to feel better every single day. The changes to lose more fat: you can't start tracking calories. If you want to get down to athletic levels and leaner levels, this is where you'll probably need to start tracking calories. To get within the healthy range, if you're just aware of portion control, you'll get there. But to get to the actual athletic ranges, you probably will need to track calories and macronutrients. You will need to add specific strength training. So again, specifically, if you're trying to shape certain areas, then yes, you will need to build muscle in those areas a little more if you want. For further results, and you need to track body shape changes and body shape results. What shape are you looking to get? Are you looking to get wider shoulders, a bigger chest, bigger legs, a bigger bum, a rounder bum? This is where, when we're getting to the athletic range, then we're really starting to track. We're really living very much a lifestyle of an amateur athlete. Now, there's the difference. So if I go back to the healthy lifestyle, look, you could be working 5 days a week, 6 days a week, have your family commitments, do your exercise, roughly plan your healthy food without having to, go through crazy formulas, and you'll be able to stay with and get to healthy levels. However, the athletic levels take a lot more planning, a lot more commitment, and a lot more dedication. So this is a huge part of your life. Healthy lifestyle, it's just part of our life. It's a natural part of our life. Athletic, now we're going to make it a huge part of our life. So the lifestyle is we're going to be eating very minimal amounts of processed food and alcohol, at most twice a week, probably once a week, and we're probably waiting for it all week. Okay? We eat a very specifically planned diet all week long. So not only are we eating 3 meals a day, but we might be eating 4 meals a day. And we might specifically know exactly how much carbs, veggies, and protein we're having because we've measured it out. Our exercising is very specifically planned with our strength and our cardio sessions, and we're carrying very little body fat within athletic ranges. Okay. Now, athletic ranges are for men 7 to about 13%. For women, generally about kind of 14 to about 20. That's your athletic ranges. And then we get down to the minimal amounts then, 12% for women, and down to like 4 or 5% for guys. So, athletic ranges are very low body fats, okay? The health benefits are, yes, again, you might have improved sleep, improved energy, improved motivation if that's what you're going for. Improved mood, I'm not sure. I'll be honest with you. If you're doing it because it's something you really want, then yes, you probably have improved mood. But if you're doing it because you're putting pressure on yourself because that's what you feel like you should be, not necessarily. You might be much happier in the healthy ranges. I was in the athletic ranges for a long time as a personal trainer. But I felt like I had no balance. So now I'm back in healthy ranges. I maintain somewhere between 15 and 17% body fat, guys. And I used to be around 11, 12%. So like you could see the abs a bit. But now that I'm kind of 15, 16, 17%, much happier, much more balance in my life. But when it comes to body shape or how ripped I am, nowhere near to previously. So you have to decide what you prefer. Athletic ranges, healthy ranges, and what matches your body fat, what matches your lifestyle the best. Changes for more aesthetics. So again, bodybuilding, like absolutely shredded, ripped, fitness model type. You need to plan an exact macro-based diet, so the calories will be 50, 30, 20, 50 carbs, 30 protein, 20 fat. You're planning all training sessions 4 to 6 times per week, and we'll track all calories and body changes. Now guys, we will cover how to do this in modules 2, 3, and 4, because obviously as fitness professionals, we'll need to be able to plan this for people. Okay, as fitness professionals, we need to be able to know how to get there, and maybe to get there ourselves. And this is the reason why I did it, was I have to be able to get there myself if I'm going to teach it. Okay, so a couple of times I went down to very lean levels. I was at 9% or 8% one time. Oh, that was horrible. Did not like that lifestyle at all. 6 months of misery. 12% was much better for me. Again, I felt like I was sacrificing a little too much from seeing my friends and social occasions I was avoiding. So 15% seems to be perfect for me. I can go out and enjoy a few drinks with friends every week or two, not worry too much about nutrition, and still easily maintain healthy lifestyle. So for me, the athletic ranges, you know, I'm still kind of only slightly outside them, but I'm in the healthy ranges, you know. But for me, the athletic ranges didn't work for me, guys. So you have to figure out what works for you, and obviously we need to know, when we're explaining to people as fitness professionals, this is the possible sacrifice. This is the possible lifestyles you need to lead. What one do you want? There's no point in telling them they can have the six-pack if they don't want to live the lifestyle to get the six-pack. So what lifestyle do you want to live? Then what can we get you to? That's realistic here. And guys, this is the 1%. This is the one that everyone seems to think they want to get to, but most people don't want to live the lifestyle. This is 5-10 years of work. This is, you know, probably in your 20s, not in your 30s. And this is pure dedication, consistency, and giving up a hell of a lot and sacrificing a hell of a lot to get this. So if you want this, be very aware of how many sacrifices it's going to take. All right? So guys, I hope that section helped you. And I hope that makes sense of it now. I hope that really makes sense of it now. So guys, let's get stuck into practical meal planning and portion control. Now get a conversation going here for a few minutes. How many meals per day do you think we should eat? What's the ideal amount of meals to eat per day? What do you think, guys? Because we hear this all the time in the media, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you get a conversation going in the peer chat there, guys, I'm sure you'll all be talking to each other. Somebody will be saying 3, somebody will be saying 4, somebody will be saying 5, somebody will be saying 6 small meals. Here's the answer. Doesn't matter. As many meals as what works for you. If 3 works for you, do 3. If 4 works for you, do 4. It doesn't matter. What matters is you get the right amount of calories and the right amount of carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. What works for me is 3 meals a day, 1 or 2 snacks. That's what works for me. I've done the whole 5 or 6 regular meals. To be honest, it just felt like hassle. It just felt like hassle. When I switched to kind of 3 meals a day, much, much easier. I could have bigger meals. I didn't miss it. I think when I was in the fitness industry, a lot more on the gym floor, yeah, the 4 or 5 meals worked for me because you wouldn't have that much time to sit down and eat. Because, you know, you might have 10 minutes, so you grab something smaller. But now that, you know, I teach online and I have a lot more of a, I'd say, very much a common lifestyle with sitting in an office 8 hours a day, the 3 meals work for me very well. All right. Now, here's the thing. I know there's a huge amount of calorie tracking apps, and I'll talk about calorie tracking apps. And I told you guys to track your calories. I think it was in lesson, was it 2? I think it was lesson 1 or 2, to be aware of kind of how many calories you intake. And I think that is important. However, here's the thing. I don't think you need to do it. Okay? I don't think every single person needs to count calories. I think if you're able to eat 3 meals a day and be very aware of portion control, you shouldn't struggle to lose fat and get healthy. I think where calorie tracking apps come in very handy is for people that are very good at, say, tracking something continually and they like to do it. I personally like to track calories, but I'm also very aware of portion control. So once I learn all my portion controls, I make a meal in MyFitnessPal and just add that meal. So I wouldn't do all the measurements exact because I'll do it like this, the portion control method. So I'll do a bit of both. But I think this is the easiest way for people to understand how much they should be eating. Okay? So what is the portion control method? Very simply, there's no need for counting calories. All right? Now, what we're going to do is we're going to set up our plate. What we're talking about, a 10-inch plate or something like that. And we're talking about a quarter of that plate should be protein. A quarter of that plate should be starch carbohydrates. A half of the plate should be vegetables or fruits. And they should all be whole foods, no processed foods. Now, if we do this, quarter of a plate protein, quarter of a plate starch carbohydrates, half of it veggies and fruits, and we eat whole foods, and we do this 3 meals per day, we should easily hit our calorie goals. And the only difference here now is if our calories are a little higher, we're probably having a little more starch carbohydrate. Everything else stays the same. All right, everything else stays the same. So how do we do it practically? Well, if we look at, oh yeah, water every meal, guys. If we look at our proteins, our carbohydrates, and our fats, there's two types of carbohydrates. Okay, there's complex and simple. But a lot of people get confused about complex and simple. So let's talk about it in terms of what we understand. Carbohydrates are actually very simply starches and fruits and vegetables. Okay, so our starch carbohydrates are things like potatoes, so sweet and white potatoes, so rice, white and whole grain rice, pasta, fresh and dried, quinoa, couscous, bulgur wheat and barley, they're all starch carbohydrates. Bread, oats, corn, they're all starch carbohydrates. And then some of the root vegetables like carrots and things like that. There'll be like a half starch, half veggie. Okay? But these are your starch carbohydrates. And this is what people overeat. People overeat starch carbohydrates, which actually pushes their calories up too high. Now, starch carbohydrates are very important, but they should only be a quarter of your plate. Okay? Because if they're a quarter of a plate, the rest of our carbohydrates, our veggies and our fruits, are going to make up the rest of our carbohydrate calories, therefore keeping us within a nice calorie range. So a quarter of our plate should be starch carbohydrates. Then a quarter or half our plate should be fruits and veggies. Half of the plate should be fruits and veggies. So apple, bananas, pears, berries, grapes, broccolis, cauliflowers, greens, salads, peppers, onions, and so on. So what we're looking for here, guys, is if we're having, just imagine yourself making, whether it be a bit of fish, some couscous, or some rice, and then some veggies. Half your plate should be the green veggies with peppers and onions and salad. Quarter your plate should be the rice. Quarter your plate should be the bit of salmon. If you're making yourself a curry and it's in a big stew pot, you just have to imagine when you're portioning it out, try and get the meat and portion a quarter. And then get the sauce and pour the sauce over the meat. And then try and get the veggies and do like half a plate, and then your starch carbohydrates easy, you put your quarter of a plate. So it's very much, if you understand quarter, half portions with carbohydrates, starch, carbohydrates, fruits and veggies, and then we have our protein quarter, it's very, very simple. And then our protein sources, guys, depends if you're talking about vegetarian or meat sources, but we have things like chicken, turkey, beef, pork, fish, all lean cuts, chickpeas, beans and legumes, lentils, peas and soybeans, eggs and egg whites, and then protein powders. Okay? Now, depending on obviously how much protein you require, if you're doing lots of strength training, you will need about 30% of your calories from protein. We are going to cover this in our sports nutrition module in module 3, where we talk about optimal nutrition for health, and we'll talk about nutrition and sports nutrition. But a quarter of our plate should be our protein. Quarter protein, quarter starch, and then half fruits and veggies. Okay? Our carbohydrates are starch and fruits and veggies. So 3/4 of our plate are carbohydrates. Quarter starch, half fruits and veggies, and then a quarter of our plate is protein. Now the fats are very simple because the fats we're going to get in things like nuts and seeds and healthy oils and omega-3s and 6s, but we generally get them from fats in the meat, in the fish, or if we use some sort of dressing. So that's where we get our fats. We don't need to specifically add it because it's going to be in the meal anyway. Okay? So the only time we might be adding it is maybe a little bit of oil or healthy oil into our sauces. Other than that, you'll be naturally getting your fats fairly easily. Okay? So we don't need to plan that. We just get that very naturally through our food. Understand? And that's how we plan it. Very, very simply. Quarter, half. Quarter protein, quarter starch, half fruits and veggies. We'll naturally get our fats in there if we're picking whole foods. Healthy meats, lean cuts of meats, lean cuts of fish. We're not drizzles of oil and things like that, not obviously 3 and 4 tablespoons worth. And if we're snacking on small amounts of nuts and things like that, we're naturally going to get that. All right? So that's what we're looking for, okay? So how do we plan that? Well, quite simply, guys, you have to look at your meals. I'm a big fan for breakfast. And breakfast, now listen, there's a lot of debate when you should have breakfast. Breakfast is your first meal of the day. It doesn't matter what time you have it. If you have it at 7 a.m. or 10 a.m. or 1 p.m., breakfast literally means to break your fast. So it's just your first meal of the day. So breakfast, yes, it is the most important meal of the day, but it doesn't matter what time you have it. It actually doesn't. If you consistently have it at one time, if you prefer to have it 5 hours after you wake up, but you consistently have something healthy 5 hours after you wake up, there's nothing wrong with that. Breakfast means to break fast, okay? No matter what time you have it. It should contain carbohydrates and protein if you're exercising afterwards. If you're not exercising immediately afterwards, you can have your carbs, proteins, and fats. Okay? So this is the only meal we might try and avoid too much fat in if we're going to be exercising immediately after. But if not, no big deal. Now, it starts your day right, helps set your blood sugar when you do have it, and always drink a bit of water with it as well. This is one of my personal favorites. I would normally have 2 eggs, some avocado, and either some whole grain toast, or I might have like a slimline bagel or something like that. So that would be a very balanced meal, protein, carbs, and fats. All right. Now, as I said, if you are exercising afterwards, you might want to limit the fats, but this is very much sports nutrition, so I wouldn't worry too much about it until you have all of this right. So until you actually have all of your meals right and all of your snacks right and it's all whole food, I wouldn't even worry about where and what time you're having your, fats and non-fat meals. I just have fully balanced meals. Once you get everything perfect, then you can start planning pre and post workout nutrition properly. But the first thing we want to get right is the overall calories and the healthy meals. Once we have that right, then we can talk about specifically taking out fat at certain meals. Okay? Lunch and dinner, or meal 2 and 3, as I say, should be fully balanced. Protein, carbs, and fats. Okay? So lunch and dinner should look the same. I don't know where and when lunch was a sandwich and a piece of fruit, and dinner was an actual meal. I don't know when that started, but our lunch and our dinner should pretty much look the same. Okay? I generally cook twice the amount of dinner I need, and I bring them for lunch the next day. So that's what I do. Keep your starch, carbohydrates, your potato, your pasta, rice, your bread, suitable for your lifestyle. So, you don't need to cut these at dinner time. Once you're getting an overall good amount, quarter your plate, that should be fine. If you need more calories, you'll need to maybe increase this a little bit, and that's fine as well. That's where we're generally increasing or decreasing our starch, carbohydrates. Our proteins and our veggies should be staying the same. So what we actually reduce and increase to either increase our calories or reduce our calories is our starch carbohydrates. That's where we make up most of our calories in a surplus or deficit. Okay? So drink water with your meal 2 and 3, and never skip your lunch because it helps you fuel you in the afternoon. If you skip it, so if you have like something at 10 a.m. and then you don't have it until 6 p.m., you are in danger of blood sugar dropping and then giving you cravings and then giving into something that's just not healthy. So have your meals and have very healthy, good portion size meals at lunch and at dinner. All right? Because if you're having 3 meals a day, each meal should be a good portion. Should never be looking like a tiny little salad. Carbs at dinner aids the release of melatonin, which helps you sleep. Do not cook carbs at dinner time. So many people think they're going to lose more fat if they cook carbohydrates in the evening time. Doesn't matter. It's overall carbohydrate intake. So you could have it at 2 a.m. or you could have it at 2 p.m. Doesn't matter. If you're having the same amount each day, your body will do the same amount with it. And that's what your meals should be looking like for maintenance, guys. 2,300 calories for men, about 1,800 for women if you're sedentary lifestyle. Okay? They were adjusted. It used to be 2,500 for men and 2,000 for women, assuming an active lifestyle. The problem is most people have sedentary lifestyles these days. Now, if we look at these very carefully, what's the difference? There is real no difference. Yeah, I put a different fruit here. So I put the strawberries instead of the banana and the apple. We save a few calories. But what's the difference, do you think, other than that makes up the calories? We talked about it. I'm going to circle it here. The starch carbohydrates, guys. Starch carbohydrate. Starch carbohydrate. The starch carbohydrate in here, whether it's rice or noodles or whatever we have in here, potatoes. You're just going to have less of your starch carbohydrates. Okay? So you're just going to reduce the portion sizes. You're not going to go 0, but you're going to reduce the portion sizes. All right? So we can see a few root vegetables here with your veggies. So smaller amount of starch carbohydrates here than in the man, 2,300 calories. All right, guys? So that's what we're looking for. Very, very simple. 3 meals, couple of snacks, lots of water. You know, very, very easy. Good, healthy, whole foods. For fat loss, what are we looking for? It should look the same. Fat loss, 10% calories down for men, 2070. For women, 1620. Don't lower it more than that. The rest of your calories are going to be made up by your increased exercise or your increased activity. We only adjust our calories by 10%. We only reduce our calories by 10% for fat loss because the rest of our calories are being made up by our extra activity and our training. Now again, guys, it doesn't look any different, does it? No, it doesn't. Because look, again, we just reduce this a little bit and we might increase our veggies, our green veggies. So all we're doing is reducing the portion size and the starch carbohydrates. We're keeping our veggies, keeping the protein the same. So all we're doing is reducing the starch carbohydrate. Rice, pasta, bread, oats, things like that. We might reduce these a little bit to save our calories. Okay, guys? That's what we're looking for. So the biggest fat loss mistakes I see all the time, this is what I always say to people when it comes to fat loss. Skipping meals. People skip meals all the time. Oh, I'm going to save calories. Don't do it. Eat 3 main meals per day, protein source at all meals. All right? Number 2, not drinking water. And then they're thinking they're hungry every hour. You have to be drinking 3 liters of water per day. If you're drinking 3 liters of water per day, it's going to keep dehydration off you. And a lot of people mistake dehydration for hunger. Especially if you're hungry an hour after you eat. If you're hungry an hour after you've eaten, most likely you just didn't drink any water. All right? Not eating in a calorie deficit. Well, guys, this is a simple one, and we covered this in lesson 5. If we're not eating in a calorie deficit, we're not going to lose any fat because your body doesn't need to go into your body fat for energy. So your body has to be in a deficit for your body to use body fat. So make sure that you at least at first work out your calories to make sure it's in a deficit. So if you're aiming for 1,600 calories or you're aiming for 2,070 calories, yes, you might have to plan it at first so you know that you're around that calorie range. But then once you know the portion sizes, you don't have to count it every day. It's just the first week you might have to count it. Overeating in the evenings and weekends. People do great in the morning and lunchtime, and then they fall victim to the evening time. So what I do is I always save most of my calories for the evening meal. People do the opposite. They try and do salads in the evening, and then they're hungry, and then they binge. All right? So have smaller meals if you want at breakfast and lunch, and have your big meal at dinner. Or save your treat, your snack for after dinner, whether it be, I used to do a baked apple. So chop up an apple, bake it up for 30 minutes. A little bit of, you should do a little bit of Greek, 0% fat Greek yogurt and cinnamon. Beautiful. Lovely snack. Felt like a dessert. Yeah? So they're the big, and then drinking your calories, guys. Don't be drinking smoothies and sugary coffees and cappuccinos and lattes when you're trying to lose fat, because that's going to make up a huge amount of your calories that you're not even thinking about. And you could be drinking 4, 5, 6, 700 calories per day without even noticing. So for fat loss, don't drink your calories. Okay? Now, when it comes to calorie tracking, guys, I like apps. Okay, I like MyFitnessPal. These will show you an overall look at your percentages of macronutrients and micronutrients, which is perfect when you're following a planned diet. However, you have to understand proper good nutrition first. The reason why we have to understand good nutrition first is because if we don't understand what good nutrition is, the calorie tracking is not telling us if we're eating healthy. Okay? Counting calories doesn't necessarily promote good nutrition. We can count all the calories in the world, but if we're eating sugary cereals and unhealthy sandwiches and burgers and fries at dinner time, even if we're eating 1,600 calories, we're eating 1,600 calories of crap. So we want to be eating good quality food as well. So calories is a very beneficial addition to nutrition, but you have to understand good nutrition first. And it also could become obsessive and unhealthy for some people. And then lastly, guys, supplementation, sports supplementation. I get asked all the time. We're only going to use this for athletic performance if you can't get it from food. Okay? And the big one here is if you don't have your food right first, there's no point looking at supplements. So if you don't have a healthy breakfast, healthy lunch, healthy dinner, if you don't understand it's the right amount of calories, if you don't understand it's the right amount of protein, carbs, and fats, you shouldn't be touching supplementation yet because you've no idea how to do nutrition. Once you understand basic healthy nutrition, then you can go on to supplementation. Very few supplements are proven science, guys. So pretty much the only ones are proteins, BCAAs, amino acids, and fish oils, creatine, things like that. Everything else, fat burners, all that kind of stuff, none of it's proven. And then lastly, guys, zinc and magnesium is pretty good for aiding sleep if you're having issues. But we'll talk about that in the last couple of lessons as well. So how can we help? So guys, I hope you enjoyed that lesson. Just remember not to overcomplicate your food. I get so many questions every single day, week, month of the year about what's my personal preference on low carb, paleo, Banting, Atkins, ketosis, summer shred programs. And I always say, stop overcomplicating your food. Okay, it's this kind of stuff that makes me laugh. As breakfast is 2 almonds, I lick an apple for lunch, and dinner is yelling at a picture of myself naked. But as I always say, you can't cheat your diet if you're not on one. If you don't start one, you can't cheat your diet, guys. So there is no diet that will do what healthy eating does. Skip the diet and just eat healthy. Skip the diet and just eat healthy. All right, learn good, healthy nutrition. Figure out meals you enjoy at every meal, and it's never a sacrifice. It is never a sacrifice if you're enjoying every meal you eat. And if you can get that, and then you can teach that, we don't have to spend the rest of our lives tracking calories, do we? I don't think I want to be 57 tracking MyFitnessPal, I'll be honest with you. I really don't. So I hope you got something from that lesson, guys. Your next lesson will be injury prevention and mobility. So we're going to cover mobility, injury, poor mobility, warming up, and cooling down properly. So guys, I want to wrap up today's lesson by talking a little bit about your pathway with Shaw Academy once you finish your professional diploma in fitness and weight loss. Now, if you're not already a subscription member, you will need to become a subscription member to add your Module 2. And of course, we are only on Module 1 of your professional diploma in fitness and weight loss, which is a 16-week course over 4 modules. So, I mean, bar any crazy reason, I'm kind of expecting to see most of you upgrade and move on to Module 2. To do that, go to your members area. It will give you your options, whether it be 12 months, 6 months, 3 months, or 1 month. Now, the most popular options will be the 12 and the 6 months because people don't tend to just do fitness and weight loss. They tend to go on and do sports nutrition. They tend to go on and do nutrition. And they also tend to go on and do things like social media marketing and marketing. So really, it makes more sense for you to maybe get the 12 or the 6-month membership, which is a much bigger discount, and you get a little more exclusive content, a little better support than you would on the 3 and the 1 month. But the 3 and the 1 month are still great, guys. So if you are maybe thinking shorter term, or just that's all you can afford at the moment, well then they are there for you. Now, for your own pathway and really, you know, to get the success you want, whether it be personal and then professional, we all tend to have a pathway within our education. And with Shaw Academy and with the diploma in fitness and weight loss, it tends to go something like this, okay? Most people want to finish up doing their professional diploma in fitness and weight loss, so they tend to move straight on from fitness and weight loss onto modules 2, 3, and 4, which is where you're going to understand how to properly program exercise, how to properly plan your nutrition and sports nutrition and nutrient timing, and how to properly plan your recovery. So not just that you can get the physical results you want, but that you can control them long term and be in control of your own health and your body shape for the rest of your life. That's what people do the fitness and weight loss for, mostly, for a personal reason, to get complete control of their body. But I do know a lot of people also have interest in entering the fitness industry at a professional level, and that qualification is an entry-level qualification that will get your foot in the door into health clubs and weight loss consultants and so on, if you're looking for entry-level roles in the industry. Now, once people have finished the fitness and weight loss diploma, they tend to go on and either do nutrition or sports nutrition. Now, my preference would be sports nutrition for most of my students, because if you learn about proper training and exercise, then you're going to need to learn about sports nutrition a lot more than standard nutrition. Because sports nutrition is about fueling your fitness, fueling your workouts, fueling your recovery, and fueling the results that you want. Whereas standard nutrition is a lot about preventing disease and making sure that you're eating healthy enough that you're not actually putting yourself at risk of disease. So you can do both, but I do recommend definitely moving on to do the sports nutrition first, and then possibly if you want to do the standard nutrition courses after that, then go ahead. Then after that, guys, it's really up to you, but a lot of people that are entered these courses for professional reasons will then move on and do something like marketing, where they'll learn how to actually market themselves as fitness professionals, and then also maybe social media marketing, to really cover their bases on building a business online, so they're not stuck in a gym 15 hours a day, which is the industry is very well known for. So that's gives you a guide of exactly, the standard pathways that people tend to take through the health and wellness courses when they start with fitness and weight loss. It tends to be fitness and weight loss, then sports nutrition, and then maybe onto another nutrition course or a marketing course to complete their skills to really enter the industry at a high skill level. And trust me, guys, even the marketing, social media marketing is absolutely fantastic to get your foot in the door with those more exclusive gyms and those higher end personal training studios if you want to get into them, because not only do they want a good coaching background, but they also want a good business and marketing background from their employees. So that'll give you an all-round really good portfolio to enter wherever you want in the fitness industry. So guys, that's pretty much it when it comes to your personal pathway, but it is about you choosing your own pathway, looking at what you were here for. Is it for personal reasons? Is it professional reasons? And what are the right steps for you to take with those courses that are going to help you achieve your success? No matter what they are, guys, you're going to have support from your tutors, whether it be myself, whether it be Amanda, who does both the sports and the standard nutrition courses, or whether it be the marketing courses and the business faculty, where I actually teach leadership and management as well, along with helping out the support on the marketing. So guys, if you do have any questions, please email me if you're not sure, and I can help you maybe set out your personal pathway for you. Okay, so along with that, guys, you have to remember that this is an EQF level 5 qualification. Module 1 is only 25% of your overall grade. You have to complete module 2, 3, and 4 to fully achieve your EQF level 5 professional diploma. And that's why, as I said, guys, for most people that are moving on, whether it be personal or professional, it's a 16-week course. It's a 16-week course to learn enough to get you your personal results and control your body for life, but it's also a 16-week course to get the qualification. So whether it's personal or professional, you need the 16 weeks. You need all of the practical skills put together over those 16 weeks to be able to apply them, whether it be personally or professionally, guys. So that's pretty much it, guys. The global qualification of EQF level 5. There's just a few of them there. QCF level 5 in the UK, associate's degree in the US, NQF level 5 and QQI level 6 in South Africa and Ireland, Canada's QQF level 5, and so on, guys. So if you want to check with your own local body, they will tell you what your EQF level 5 is equal to, but it's a global qualification. It's a globally recognized qualification at a very high standard. So if you are doing it for professional reasons, it's a fantastic one to have. So guys, as I said, if you want to do that, if you want to go on, make sure you've either already upgraded or upgrade today to start getting the benefits and getting the support. And we can help you out on our side of it to help you with your student pathway. So once you've upgraded, we can sit down and have a chat to you and really lay it out for you 100%. You also get access, guys, to all the other courses, all the other exclusive members content, all the other level 5 qualifications, premium support, and uninterrupted learning. You can log on and watch whenever you want. You don't have to be waiting for broadcast lessons. You don't have to be waiting for the Morpheus support. You can log on and watch any time you want. So simply log into your members area, click on upgrade now if you're not already a subscription member. And as I said, guys, it will give you that 12, 6, 3-month and 1-month options. And it's just a case of you choosing which one you want. If you know you're doing 2 and 3 and 4 EQF level 5 courses over the next 12 months or 18 months, it'll only make sense to do the 12-month or the 6-month And if you're not 100% yet, you can always do the 3-month, which is a bit of more of a budget option. Do your 3 modules of fitness and weight loss, and then make your decision then after that to either upgrade to the 12 or the 6, or just renew on the 3 or even the monthly option. So guys, if you have any questions, please feel free to email me. Hope you enjoyed that lesson. And as I always say,